Hello. I believe this is the most exciting update in a while for me personally. User data functions and native writeback in Power BI is finally here. So today I want to walk you through the whole process from SQL database creation in Fabric to creating your first user data function to setting up native writeback in Power BI. Hello. My name is Maxime and I specialize in Power BI, data analytics, and Microsoft Fabric. And now back to the video. I have example set up here already, but for you, I will do everything from scratch. Let's start with creating SQL database. For this, I will use native preview function, which Microsoft added recently into Fabric. Make sure that your admin enables it, because by default, it might be disabled. So let's create new database. I will call it YouTube, UT. Once that is done, for this example, I will be using sample data. So I will click sample data. Import complete. And now we have sales LT database here with a few tables. Now let's set up our first user data function. For this, I will go back. Let's press new item again. And let's select user data functions. Let's call it YouTube UDF. And let's click new function. Now, by default, you will have here Hello Fabric. However, in this example, I would like to try to insert new record into existing database and table. For this, I have code prepared already, but don't worry, I will walk you through it. So let me copy it here. And let's do a little walkthrough what will be happening here. Now, first, it's mandatory import. It will not work without it. And I don't think it will even allow you to publish without it. Then we need to establish connection strings to your database. For this, you will need to change your alias. So let me press Manage Connections. Let me add connection here. We'll need to add my new database that I just created, and you will have alias here called UT. And let's replace alias, this parameter. Now, that's where the magic happens. I'm starting defining the function which will be writing back to the table. This function will be connecting to SQL database. Besides that, you can currently also connect to Lakehouse, but in this example, we're connecting to SQL. And I will be passing two values, product description and model ID. Model ID is needed to identify the record, and product description is the text that I will be adding. And currently, as an output, user data functions support only strings. And likely, in this case, and I'm getting ahead of myself, it will be our text message, whether a record was added successfully or, in case of some errors, unsuccessfully. And actually, this is the next step, just to check whether product description has more than 200 characters. In case that happens, it should return error message to the user. You don't have to have it, but for production code, you will likely want to handle multiple possible errors. As next step, you're just establishing connection. After establishing connection, the next step would be to insert row into the table. So first here I'm specifying SQL statement or insert. Insert into this schema and this table, product description. Let's take a look what's in that table. In product description, we have a few columns. Product description ID, description, ID, and modified date. Okay. Now, we'll be passing description here, okay? And we're telling it to output as the result of this insert statement the ID value that will be created for that new record. And in values, we're specifying question mark. We will be passing values, but later, and it will be dynamic. Therefore, here we're leaving question mark. And the next step, we're executing set SQL query with product description, which is passed into user data function. So you can see here. Okay. Once that is done, you have to fetch the results. The thing is, we have to insert into multiples table. Again, I'm switching back to the table itself. And here we have product description table where descriptions are stored and you have ID of the description. But besides that, you have product model, product description table, which maps product models and product descriptions with each other. So we also have to insert into this table. And that's what happens in the second insert. And that's why we also needed ID, which has been generated by insert statement in the previous step here. So let's have a look into next insert. Again, doing insert, CLSLT, product model, product description table, and here we're passing more fields. Product model ID, product description ID, and culture. This is the requirement in this table. In your case, could be different. And again, we will be passing values, but later. And in the next step, we again execute that SQL statement. And passing product model ID, which we're passing from Power BI, same as the description. We're taking results of our previous query and getting value from the array. And actually, there are two arrays nested into each other. And for culture, currently I have recorded this value. And after that, you have to commit the transaction, close the connection, and return some string. In this case, success message. Let's publish it. Now that it's published, you can test it here already. So let's refresh it. And let's press play here across its name. Play. And here are two values that we will be passing from Power BI. So let's add something. Hello. And product model ID. We can add something random and let's try. Let's run. Okay, it succeeded. But what if we try also to trigger error? Let's see how it works. For error, we'll have to add more than 200 characters. I think that's plenty. Let's run again. And it's supposed to give us error, which it did. Actually, if you look here, it gave us the error that we specified for over 200 characters limit. If your testing is successful, we can go and switch to Power BI and set it up there. Let me do that. And first, you will want to connect to your database. Switch to Microsoft Fabric. Let's select SQL database. Let's select our YouTube database. Once you have a list of tables on screen, let's select product description, product model, and product model product description. That's a mouthful. And let's load those three tables. Instead of import, select direct query because we want our changes reflected right away. Okay, tables are here. Let's check the model, the relationship established. And if you remember, that's where we're submitting into two tables instead of just one. And let's set up some visuals. First, we need to pass ID. So for that, let's do product model, let's do name, and we also need ID. Okay. So on the left, we'll have list of all products with their model IDs. On the right, we will likely want to see descriptions that we're submitting. So let's add another table on the right. And let's add here description and modified date. And we'll likely want to filter to today's date just to see changes that we've made right away. So let me filter in this day. So as you can see here, this is the hello that I've submitted while testing user data function outside of Power BI. And let's add our slicer, text slicer in this case, because we want to type new comment. Now, if you don't have it here, make sure to enable it in the settings. And let's enable text slicer visual. Great. And we also need to enable translytical tasks flow to expose new functionality delivered in May release. Great. So I'll press OK and I will restart my Power BI. Now that I've restarted Power BI, I have text slicer here. So let's add it onto the page. Okay. Let's name it add new description. And let's add new button. So let's go to insert and let's add blank one. And here you will go to action, you will enable it. In type, go to the very end and you will see data function. Again, make sure to enable it in preview features, otherwise it won't be here. Let's select data function, and if you've done all of the previous steps correctly, here, after selecting workspace, my workspace, you will see function set that you created. Let's select YouTube UDF, and here we'll have that one function that I've created, write to SQLDB. Okay. And from here, you have to assign your text slicer to a specific field. So for product description, we're assigning this slicer. And let's enable auto clear once submission is done. Okay. For product model ID, though, you have to press conditional formatting button here. And let's specify product model ID. Instead of count, specify maximum. We only pass in one value. And you will see that it changed here. Okay, now it's assigned. And you'll likely want to format your button somehow for it to be clear. So let's add text. Let's name it submit. Great. And if you enabled translytical task flow, you will have new state here called loading. So let's switch to loading and let's change text to submitting so it's clear that it's in progress. And for icon, by default, it will specify speeder, so you can just make few adjustments to the button itself. So it's more or less aligned. Let's try to select some product model ID and submit comment for that model. So I will select front brakes. Okay, I will type test submission. Make sure to press enter. And let's try submitting it. You will see that I did mistake with my formatting. Wait a bit. And because I'm in Power BI desktop, direct query will actually trigger a full refresh. Great. Once that is done, I see message that product description was added, our success message. And as you can see here, our new record was added into database right away. Great. Another thing I want to try is to actually trigger error message. So let's do that. So I'll just copy paste as many times as possible to go over 200 characters limit. Let me try this and let me press submit again, and let's see if it triggers error message. Indeed, it triggered error message. I just wished it displayed the error message we made here. If you remember, it's supposed to display that maximum characters is 200. But we see it here in details. This is just the beginning. There's way more to discover. And in the coming weeks and days, I will be exploring user data functions more. How to set it up, how to edit existing records, how to delete them, how to build UI, and so on. So subscribe and see you in the next one.